What's happening, y'all, ladies and germs? How are you doing? We're on the drive back. This is my Truman Lake, Missouri All-American Kayak Classic and the Truman Lake, Missouri All-American Kayak Series Trail event. This is the full recap. So we're gonna put that down for you here. We're gonna get ourselves a video here of a full recap of how things went down there. Big event, man. Biggest one of the year so far, hands down. 196 anglers, 20 different teams, $30,000 and some change on the line. Big bass payouts on the hourly. I'm telling you, if you're a kayak angler, you need to get a part of the All-American, because as you can see, when we put the roster together, man, it's given to the anglers that make it all happen. That's what Josh Booth, Tyler Cole, the whole team there at the All-American Kayak Series, that's what they believe in, y'all, is making this stuff function properly and making sure that the people that make it happen are taken care of. So our full recap, dude. So we got down there, we had full practice time that we normally have given ourselves in the past. We had a full 2 days. I had a couple ideas going into this, and then at the last minute, when I got there, seeing how low the water was, I made some audibles. I called a couple audibles on some areas that I wanted to check out. Well, since it was a team event also for the clubs, we all kind of divvied out and started scoping some areas during practice, and just gave each other the basic fundamentals of, water temp, clarity, levels, what kind of how much pressure we saw at these locations. Just basically shared some some of that information from around, and so it kind of helped everybody get a gauge as to what things we're looking at and where. So in that process, we made a call on where we were going to go for day one. I was traveling with a buddy I fished with in Colorado. He's a U.S. Army vet. He's from the Colorado Kayak Bassmasters. Kay Hood. Kenny and I bunked together for this one, a rarity that I get a travel partner here in the kayak game. But he and I basically just tried to, double down on making sure we could, save cost and all that good stuff. So we bunked. And of course, we're talking, about basic stuff that we're seeing out there. Well, we made the decision to kind of start somewhat in the same area. We fish similar, but not. So, we're both looking for certain things that we were trying to track down. But so, like I said, found, and it really was a tale of like 3 lakes. I first thought 2 lakes. But if you look at the map on Truman, there are 3 sections to this lake. It's a big lake with lots of river arms, that all connect in. The main being the Osage coming through, I believe. But upper lake, any place that was on the upper side, was definitely some of the warmest water that we've seen. And it was, start of the morning, it was 60-degree range. By end of day, surface temps of the water, at least, were in those mid to upper 60s. A little bit further down, it was a little bit cooler, but still mid 60s was a legitimate deal, a few feet down. Middle of the lake was kind of, in between that. Also, one thing about the upper part of the lake, the water was a little bit dirtier up there. It was a little stained. And then when you got into the back of the creek channels, there was, a little bit of mud, in some areas. The thing is that weather was supposed to be coming in. We were expecting to receive rain for both days. That never happened. The rain never took place, and so it kind of, it changed up a few things. The wind also was something we were trying to game plan with on some of the areas that we were going to go to, and that didn't pan out the way that we kind of thought. The wind happened in reverse. The day that it was supposed to be windy, it wasn't. Then the day that it was wind or wasn't supposed, to be very windy. And mind you, I'm talking about like a week leading up to this. So as usual, weather apps, weather forecast, worthless. So at any rate, we had a chance to check out all three sections: lower, middle, upper. I would say lower and middle were very similar together in what they saw. Also, your creek channels, which there are a lot of, was very different compared to the main river areas, main lake stuff. And then of course upper. Now my one spot that I was really counting on, I opted out of it because of low water levels and a few other reasons. I opted out of going there on day one and chose something different. And at the end of the day, I'm not overly too upset with our decision, on where we launched from. It was kind of it was an 11th hour thing when we found a ramp into some areas that were very similar to what we had been fishing before, and it was only like 10 minutes away, so it allowed us to sleep in a little bit, drive down real quick, hit the ramp, take a little trek with the trolling motors, that motor guide. The Unlimited made its way through the trees there, and we got through. That water level was really the name of the game, and it was so low that a ton of these deadheads, these lower end unit killers, were just exposed everywhere. There were some coves where there was no discernible lane. You just had to pick and choose your way through. I am very pleased with my Onos polarized sunglasses. They did a phenomenal job of allowing me to see into the water there enough to see these stumps to make sure we didn't hit them. And with my bifocals locked in, I could see my phone, I could see my graphs nice and easy. Old guy problems, right? Whatever. And these bad boys are lifesavers. But at any rate, so we launched from an area, went fishing, and bagged up our 5 eventually. Now, I was looking for some bigger stuff initially, wasn't finding it. Then, keyed in on a couple things, found a pattern that I could basically run up and down, the shorelines. And the problem was on the shorelines, it was dink-fest, really. Hit every fish that I caught, I will say, was a legal fish. It was over the 12-inch. But we did kick a couple of 12.75s on day one. I later culled those out. I think our smallest we had in the 5 was like 13, but still pretty much a bag of rats is what I came up with, except one decent one, 18 1/4 in there, and that helped anchor that bag. And I want to say out of 196, I think I was sitting in like 108. Man, everybody caught fish that day, to be honest with you, though. There were a lot of fish, and it was just such a bottleneck of, I think I had 71 and change or whatever, and the top 30, 40, 50 anglers had 80 inches or above, you know what I mean? So it's like everybody was right there, and I was confident that if I could go out and sack up a big old stringer on Saturday, we might break into that top 20 if other guys struggled. It was gonna, hopefully, I was counting on it being a tale of 2 lakes in 2 different days, and just conditions change and change up that bite a little bit. So day one, like I said, got done, felt okay with the limit, kind of where it was at. And the reason I felt okay with it is because during practice, I never found, that sweet spot. I never found that honey hole of winning fish, and I knew that. So in the absence of that, where my mind goes is, okay, then cash a check. If you don't think you've got the stuff to compete, then go cash a check. And my mentality is, in my head, is that in order for you to even have a chance to win, you gotta have 5 on the board. So get your 5 on the board, then take that confidence and that calmingness that having your limit gives you to go hunt those bigs, So that's the way that I'm trying to get back to. I haven't been fishing that way lately, and I kind of fell off the rails again here, but that's what I'm working my way to, is getting to that stage right there. of following that philosophy to a T. So I wasn't overly too upset, like I said, with day one. We were right there. So day two, we make another 11th hour decision to go to a completely different landing. We knew of it. We knew it was going to be busy, and we just thought we have more options here at this landing. And so we both decided to launch from there. So we did, and we both went, two different ways, Kenny and I. And I went towards a place that I wanted to target on day one. I went in there, and the spot that I didn't think would have a lot of attention had a lot of attention on it. So I stayed out of it. I think I hung around the front entrance to it, and then I only went in and fished for about 5 minutes and then bailed out of there, just because I knew one of the guys in there was certainly in the top 20, and I did not, I knew I was not there right now. And so just out of professional courtesy, I pulled myself out of there to make sure that, I was going to go hunt other stuff. And again, it wasn't just that, it was the fact that it was extremely busy in there, lots of kayakers in there, so it was just not going to be a good situation. So at any rate, left there, and dude, I'm going to tell you what, we put this Amped Outdoors 100 amp hour 12 volt battery to the test. I don't have the mileage 100% figured out, but I want to say we put on 2, 4, 5, 9, 10, 12, 15 miles, somewhere in that ballpark, of running around along with using spot lock. And I think we're down to like 30%. Now, mind you, I'm very, very conservative of how I use my motor. It wasn't a bunch of full 100% throttle out. I was, really watching what I was doing with it. But yeah, the wind was much more substantial on day two as well. So ran the gamut, man, and hit pretty much any and everything I could. And I gotta tell you, man, I don't know what the deal was, but the pattern from the day before wasn't working. The pattern that I was trying to run to find better quality wasn't kicking for me. Nothing just was locking in for me on that day. And we ended up literally only managing one fish for the entire day. And it was just a little 14 and a half, 14 and a quarter, something like that. And that stung, that hurt. I knew we were definitely out of any shot at that range. But nevertheless, we learned quite a bit from the lake. And my situation of not feeling like I've been mentally fully in it just yet continues. I still don't think I was mentally there the way I need to be. If you're going to compete in the All-American Kayak Series, you need to understand you're going against some just straight stone cold, killers out there. And so you have to have your mental game on point in order to compete against them. I finished well at one of these events, and I know what it's like to have to face off against these guys. And yeah, there's no room for error there. So we haven't felt that this season yet for some reason. There are a lot of things with the True Patriot Outfitters and Roman's Warrior Foundation going on, and that's definitely on my head. And so we're paying attention to a lot of that stuff and trying to make sure we're securing a future at the same time trying to be a competitive angler. And that's a trick, man. I will say I'm learning the ups and downs of that. This professional angling thing is, guys sit there and I think you may have the wrong idea of exactly what it is and what it takes to make it, happen. You have to choose which one, you want to be real good at it first. And for me, it's about longevity, because our first priority is the nonprofit work that we do. And the angling is just a part of that allows that. So I think that's showing up a little bit. But we'll work on it. No worries there. We'll work to gather that together. I gotta say, man, special shout out to all of my sponsors right now that are with me here, and then of course the sponsors that go even the extra mile and support the True Patriot Outfitters, our podcast, the work that we do there. But dude, we went through the list of them and used every last one of them from top to bottom. Vicious fishing. That no fade braid saved me in many cases from losing $15 jackhammers, $16 I guess at Everhart Outdoors. And so, you know, the Vicious fishing line did not fail me, from my leaders and the fluorocarbon to the braid that I rely on heavily. It was phenomenal. It operated perfectly. In that same vein, new sponsor that we just signed with, Eagle Claw Trocar. I can't tell you what it feels like now to have that kind of trust in my terminal tackle. Man, the sharpening points on these Trocar hooks is insane. It is absolutely ruthless with its penetration ability with those hooks, man. A couple fish we caught on Ned rig using the Trocar Ned heads, and pitching some soft plastics with those Pro V model line. The worm hooks. Of course, a drop shot hook from Trocar. I caught a couple fish on that, not the right flavor, but several. Fish on that, and it's having that kind of trust in your terminal tackle. I can't express enough how good that feels to know that what I'm putting out here isn't getting bent up, and more importantly, this stuff's American made, y'all. Right here in America, Denver, Colorado, Eagle Claw Trocar, laser sharp, the whole family. Poured here, made here, formed here, sold here. That carries a lot of weight with me as well. Yeah, and like I said, just going down the list, my Blackfish gear, man, those my rain suit, my bibs kept me nice and dry each morning, kept me nice and warm when I needed to with the storm skin. Everything was on point there. Amped Outdoors, can't say enough about that battery, that 12 volt, and then of course I also have a 12 volt 30 amp hour that takes care of electronics and lights. That was flawless as usual. Fast charging at night. Good stuff. We stretched that 100 amp hour on day 2, and it performed like a champ, and charged up, perfectly the night after. We try to keep our lithiums fully charged as much as we can. All-terrain tackle, caught several of my keeper fish on the first day on an all-terrain finesse jig with random trailers. I was kind of messing with trailers, trying to see exactly what we would find. Put some Berkeley on there, trying those out. Some of those chunks, then used, of course, some net bait. We were testing out some of those different trailers, and yeah, the all-terrain, those things were just phenomenal. Of course, Onos sunglasses, couldn't have done it without them when it comes to being able to see knots, tie knots, do all that good stuff down the line there. And then, New Canoe, man, my Unlimited. There's a lot of, I know people are really, stuck to the brand that they are in. They really love their kayaks. I am no different, man. The New Canoe Unlimited is just a pleasure, and I feel so fortunate to be piloting this thing when I'm on the water. The way it handles big water, skinny water, adverse conditions. It can take a beating. This thing is, this Unlimited, she's a great boat. I love this kayak, and so thankful that we get to run around in those. So, to all the guys at Colorado Kayak Fishing Club, awesome job down there. So cool to see the CKFC in action. CKB, that was awesome to fish with those guys and share some information, leading up to it, and see everybody kind of put the head down and go to work. We did have Matt Kern from the CKFC come in, I think, 3rd place he came in, so that was super cool for him. Colorado angler getting up there, that was awesome to see. Very cool when we can get the state on the map, especially on a national trail like that. And I think that's it, man. If memory serves, we keep our sponsor list nice and low. Of course, Berkeley and Pure Fishing, love those guys, and love my Berkeley. We throw the heck out of it. And Yeah. So, at any rate, folks, that's pretty much the rundown on Truman. The full recap. It was super cool to fish. The rocks were definitely playing. Wood was in play. There was plenty of stumps and things to have. Water temp. You caught. We actually did see signs of some on beds. Some had spawned way up north. Buddy pulled one out of a bush up north there that had signs of being kind of beat up, so we know she was spawning on the bed for sure. And then others, further into colder water, hadn't pulled up yet. They were getting close, but they hadn't yet. So with that water level down like that, it was playing games with them, I think, on when it was time to get up there. So still an amazing event. Hats off to the All-American, Josh Booth, Tyler Cole, their family and support system behind them to make this whole thing come undone and keep the anglers and family and the traditions of the All-American, right at the forefront, man. Kudos to those guys. Kudos to all my fellow competitors out there. 196, proud to be out there fishing against you guys. That was super, super awesome to do. So stick with us, folks. We got some cool stuff. We'll be putting some content up, just kind of mirroring some of what the All-Americans doing out there. Kind of show this event off and show why you, if you are a kayak angler, need to get your butt on over to the All-American and join up with us. Come fish an event this year. You will understand exactly why we are all in with the All-American Kayak Series. And yeah, man, it's a blast. Come test your skills against some pretty stout competition and just enjoy the experience it is to fish on a national trail. So take care, y'all. Stick with us. We got more to come. Like, share, follows, all those are appreciated. Tight lines. Be safe.